Hello, welcome back to another family channel. I'm Jim Jobo Swear, and today we're doing a 5-book vlog where I read 5 books for you, and we are going to be vlogging the experience. By vlogging the experiences, I'm hoping that we're going to do quite a bit of time lapses where I'm reading it together and we can talk while I read. And I'm going to try to keep it as non-spoilery as possible. Also, a lot of these books are book 1 of 2, and I don't know if all of them will get their sequels read in another video like this, but I do plan on reading, if I like them, the majority of the sequels in a video like this. And so I'm calling a 5-book TikTok sensation. All these books I know at one point, I'm assuming, went viral on TikTok or are going viral as we speak on TikTok. So I was going to go through the list. The first one is the newest Ever Mendes, which I had no idea was starting a brand new series, but it is, and let's say You'll Remember Me. I'm not really sure how I personally feel about it. I don't even know what it's about, but I do know that my review copy is going up very soon, and I need to get to reading it, so we'll be picking that one up. The next one we'll pick up is a fan favorite on TikTok. I know that for a fact, and that is Quicksilver because of him. I don't even know his name. I don't even know what this is about. I just know that he is pretty well loved, and the sequel just came out, and so I'm really hoping that I'm gonna like it and we can read the sequel in an upcoming video. And then I also have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I don't understand that I've not been saying the names. I don't know what this is either. I know it's historical, from my understanding. It's historical fantasy, so there's a less likely chance of me loving this as much as I want to, but we will see. Then we have the infamous Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Essentially, we're at the point in time where I'm just like, I need to read the first one to really see the difference and see if it is so freaking similar to Red Queen, which I've been told by many people that they're practically the same book. And yeah, I know Red Queen. They're right there. I just read Red Queen, the entire series. I didn't love it, to be fair. I also was told this is like a lot like Hunger Games, but I have no idea what it's about, so we'll see together. And then lastly, because I do need to read them, I decided to put Swordcatcher in here by Cassandra Clare. This is a good place for me to be able to vlog the experience while reading it. I definitely will be reading the sequel relatively soon. My copy is pretty fucked, ain't gonna lie. We'll see how the actual reading experience goes. I'm very excited, but also extremely nervous for Swordcatcher. Cassie Clare is my favorite author of all time, and so starting a brand new thing that's not even attached to my favorite series of all time, which is the Shadowhunters, which are sitting over there, is extremely nerve-wracking to me for a lot of reasons. Since I'm still trying to figure out how to film and read, because I do typically read with the audiobook. It's just my preferable way of reading when I read physically. I don't do it every time, but the majority of the time I do it. And because I don't have any resources to do that at the moment, I think I'm just gonna sit here and read a little bit of this with my audiobook and just not film it for you. If I have anything to mention, I'll pop up on camera and we can talk about it. But I do need to read like the first a little bit. So we're gonna read the first little bit. All right, that's everything. Hello, let me come out here and close the first book in this vlog. I gotta pay attention since then. You'll Remember Me was a very fun read. I also kind of figured out the way we could do this. Depending on how big they are, we might read a little section in the middle if I'm feeling like I'm spending too much time away. The goal here would be to read the last 50 pages with you, and maybe the first 100 pages with you, or 50, 80 pages. And then I'll read the middle myself. Because logically speaking, yeah, it'd be great to come in here and read every morning with you and pick away at it, but that's not attainable. So we're gonna go with the attainable way. It won't be my first priority ever when reading at a different spot away from you, but it won't be my last priority either. So I did read the majority of this while just enjoying my everyday life. But I did read the beginning and ending to you, and I really wish I would have known that my phone, because I was listening to it, was going not to listen to what I said with the 30-minute mark. I originally wanted to listen to the last 15 minutes with you, and I cried, and you missed it. I missed it on camera, so that's slightly annoying. I won't tell you where I cried or why I cried, but I'm sure if you read the book, you have an idea of the reasoning. I don't agree with everything that was said here. I'm gonna be honest with you. Characters are messy, but not messy in a wrong way, but they are messy. That's the best way I know how to describe it. And I personally, in my humble abode, I don't agree with a lot of choices that were made here, and I can understand. I don't understand why people are saying it's super depressing. I mean, the situation is very sad for sure, between both her mom having dementia and him doing everything that he's doing. And like, I see a lot of people saying that she's not putting enough effort. She only goes down once in the whole novel. And I can also kind of see that as well. But also, like, you know, it's her family, so like, I don't know. It's a mixed bag. It was an interesting topic to handle. I just don't know if it was handled as well as I wanted to. So I think I'm landing on a 3.75 for this one. I don't know the next one we'll read. It's one of those. I can tell you which one it's not. It's the one I own. One of the other ones. That's this one. All right, I'll see you when we start the next book. I think I've chose to read Quicksilver next. I think it's the one I'm going to go with. I have no reason for it, except for the fact that a lot of people are telling me that I think I'm going to like it based on the Shadow Daddy in here. I also just love how floppy the book is. It's a beefy boy, though. I also hate enemies to lovers. It is by far my least favorite trope of like all time. I was about to say you will catch me dead before I write one, but that's inaccurate. That's inaccurate. You'll see enemies to lovers from me eventually. As I'm writing one. I do hate it though. I hate the trope. Because I don't personally ever feel like on one hand, if you go too far and actually make it a true enemies to lover romance, right? And I don't know, maybe none of these are actual enemies to lovers. I feel like that's not true. Then it's like it's abuse. But you're like, oh, enemies. But also, like, you can't understand why they would ever get together. Like, yeah, the sexual chemistry's there, but you don't need to fuck your bully. What are we, 12? So, yeah. You don't need to fuck your bully. Hello, I want to come here and give you guys a reading update on Quicksilver. I am roughly, I think I'm a little further than this now, 160 pages in, which is about 25%. I kind of really like it. I'm a little shocked. I mean, a lot of people like it, so like I'm not like, oh my god, shocked. But I'm a little shocked. So I'm on chapter, I don't know, like 13 or something, and essentially so far the plot of the story goes as following. We saw Sarah's Fane as she is living in a world where she's like a really low caste, and essentially they're like poisoning them, and she steals armor in the very beginning of the story, takes it back to this lower caste. Her brother ends up being caught with it, and she ends up being taken to the throne where she is partially executed. Yet she is not executed. She ends up making a portal to the realm of the Fae, where Shadow Daddy here, and I understand why he's called Shadow Daddy, comes out. His name is, like I just said, King something. Gosh, damn it. It's King something. Kingfisher comes out and saves her and takes her into the realm because she withheld a sword that can open up the portals. And so now they want her to do it again. And it's called Quicksilver because she has magical abilities to manipulate this. I'm perfectly fine with talking about all this information because it happens the first 25%. So far, they have zero chemistry. That's my biggest complaint. However, I do like how it's only first person. So that does make me happy. And I think the world's really well realized. There's one action sequence that I didn't like. I understood kind of what the author was going for, but it really did scream she's never written another action sequence in her life. I honestly don't know if she's written other things outside of the series. This is what most people talked about when they talk about her as when they talk about the work is Quicksilver, and obviously the sequel that just came out. I don't know. I'm really liking it so far. I like the writing quite a bit. I think it's pretty good. I'm a little shocked by it, I'm not gonna lie. Isn't this one that fucking Kayla read and liked? Yeah, she did. That's crazy. Okay, I'm a little shocked. I'm liking it. I can see why. I will continue onwards. I think it's worth it so far. Mostly as I continue. I have the sequel on hold, so we'll also eventually read that as well. Hello, let me come in here and give you an update on Quicksilver. Hopefully the fan in the background isn't like too horrible. We're in my bedroom. It's a different experience for everybody. I just want to come in. I am now 60 or 70% into it. I'm on page 406. I think I'm a little deeper than that. I will have to say it took 404 pages for me to feel like maybe these characters do deserve to be together. I both like Kingfisher, Sarah Fane on their own. However, it wasn't until the night in the cabin, is all I'll say. Night in the house, the big house. soccer couple that I was like, I feel it. I feel it. And they woke up to something amazing, something very fun, if you know what I mean. And I think I'm gonna like this one much better than the first one because the first one felt such out of place. We'll read the last little bit together on camera, but I want to go in here and give a short, like, little update. Hello. I will not lie to you. I very much got distracted Legoing. And so I read way past the point that I was supposed to jump on camera with you. I was supposed to jump on camera with you with about an hour and a half to 2 hours left of this audiobook. We are jumping on here with an hour left, which is probably equating to like 30 or 40 pages. Sorry about that. I'm obsessed. I will not lie to you. This book was okay to me for the most part up until page 400. And then now I'm just like, oh my God. Also, this has a certain trope in it. I don't think we're doing spoilers, right? This has a certain trope in it that I was not expecting, which is so crazy. I should have been expecting it immediately, but I wasn't expecting it, and it's taken me off guard. I'm very liking the drama, but I'm also loving the commitment. If you know, you know. Is this what you guys want from us? There's one thing I don't love about this, and mostly as we progress into other ones that are really popular. This was not a thing with the Javier Mendez whatsoever. But that's more like contemporary romance, so it doesn't really, I don't think counts in this vein. She refers to him as a proper male and an alpha male in the definition of amazing male, using the word male very strongly to describe Kingfisher, and I don't love that, but I'm assuming it's a kink. It feels like it's a kink. Either way, we're gonna finish the book. It shouldn't take me anywhere but like 20 minutes maybe. Let's go ahead and finish it together, and then I'll tell you my final rating. Pretty sure I know exactly what it's gonna be, but it could go higher depending. Where we're at currently has Akatar ending vibes. However, I was really nervous that they were gonna do something else, because I feel like this is a run over trope at this point for a first book ending. So we'll see if it goes which way it goes. Also, I was not expecting the villains in this book being what the creatures they are either. That was also something else I wasn't expecting. The expansiveness of the world building. I'm even further in this than I thought. I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting that either. It's interesting. Okay, I did it, but it didn't do it in the way I was expecting. I don't really love this trope very much. I understand it though. I get why it's here. This might have a different ending than I was expecting. Damn. Oh, I definitely wasn't expecting that. Okay, we're gonna switch over to my other recording device. Give me a second. Okay, as you can expect, I do have some thoughts and some feelings. Nothing spoilerly, don't worry. I don't think we're doing spoilers. I don't believe so. So I'm not gonna put them here either. But I do have thoughts, that's for sure. Quicksilver, I think we're running on a 4.25 for it, not a 4. It was originally gonna be a 4. I can't give anything above a 4. The sequel could get a 5. This one cannot get a 5 because it took so long for me to fully love it. The once I was in it, I was like, oh damn. I love Seraphine as a character. I love Kingfisher as a character as well. I think they're both beautifully written. Just didn't vibe. I didn't get the connection, and then I got the fucking connection, and I was like, oh, this is fucking magic. Okay. This is whole other levels of magic is where we're at. I was not expecting the ending at all. At all. Super curious of what the sequel is going to be like. Really happy I don't have to wait for it very long. So it's about 6 weeks. So I'll be picking it up when I get it. But the second book for this video is done, and that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I know a lot of this I read by myself. Very sorry about that, but sometimes big books like this, I gotta work what I gotta work with. And I had very little time to read it, so I read it mostly in just 3 sittings. Which is fun, because I read a bunch of other stuff in between reading it, so yeah. I don't know what we're gonna pick up next. There's a chance I can't use this clip. I don't know, because of the music in the back. But with that being said, I do want to come in here and give you guys an update on Powerless. We are using my front camera. You can tell the difference. It's crazy. I'm figuring out the mistakes with my back. But we are talking about Powerless today. Powerless is the next book I chose. and I'm officially 50% into it, or the first 50% today, which is actually, you know what, pretty impressive. And the fact that it was able to hold my attention, I gotta give props there. This is an extremely derivative novel. I have some themes in particular. There's a before the dance sequence. I was like, oh, the interviews. I also feel like it's pretty only iconic to one thing, in my opinion. I'm sure there's others that have done interviews before for a type of game challenge, but there's only been one. The whole opening, the only thing we're missing is a broken ankle and a broken wrist. If you know, you know. If you know the revelation. Let me tell you a little about this. This follows Pagan, which I think is pronounced like more like Hayden, as she is an ordinary, she's a normie. Essentially, there was this like virus and it gave people powers. She doesn't have any powers, and so she's lying and scheming, and she gets the attention of both the two princes, and she gets put into an elite game to show you, hey, I'm best. And essentially, we have started partially of that game. There seems to be several challenges. Other books have done this as well. Only one in particular does really stand out to me, but this is a common theme. The way it's set up, though, is not super common and ordinary, in my opinion. Yeah. Also, fun fact, very YA. And so it's making it the least fun for me to personally read because the banter is very YA. It's trying to make it seem like it's not, but it is. The power set's pretty cool. Some of them are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty well used. But like, it's not beautiful or anything. And overall, it's just fine. Like, it's just fine. I guess Kai is the one she's supposed to... Maybe there's no love triangle. I guess Kai is supposed to be the one she's supposed to be with. I don't know. She first gets the purging trial is what it's called. But she gets the first look of Kai, but she also gets to know his brother. There's a lot of similarities to other stuff going on here, which was part of the reason why I wanted to read it. But you know... The world's very similar. There's even an elite group that's trying to take down the elite group. The virus is also very similar to other viruses I've heard about. That's all I got for you. I don't know. This could be some of your favorite books, and I'll try to give you some more context. In the end, we'll also read, once again, like I've done many times before, the last 30 minutes to an hour of the audiobook with the book on camera, if there's any shocking things. At this moment in time, halfway through, I wouldn't pick up a sequel. So... we'll see. Alright, I figured I'd come in here and update you guys as well. We'll come back in for the final read. I have probably 10 minutes left of the audiobook once I get it back. So we're at the very end. I would just read it physically, but I truly don't know where I left off. Oh, girl. Oh, hold on. We'll finish it together. I'm on chapter 66. Huh, that's interesting. That would be Powerless by Lauren Roberts. A book that, unshockingly, I'm landing on a 2.5 for. I basically had known this for a minute now, and I kept waiting for it to like get better, kept waiting for me to be more intrigued, to get the writing to pop for me, and everything else. I also was kind of waiting for it to become its own thing, and it did not. It was so apparently not its own thing that in quite a lot of ways I was a little shocked. I don't want to speak too much on this because everybody else has spoke on it, but it very much is. It feels like a first book that someone wrote, which is not. I think it's not. A lot of people do end up publishing the first novel they wrote. Do I recommend it? No, I recommend you write 2 or 3 books, and then that's the 4th book is the one you write, because the first book it's never good. It's never great. Obviously, I guess I'm kind of out of the loop on this one because so many people love this book. So many people read this book. This has 855,000 ratings on Goodreads. That's fucking crazy. And I'm about to add to that. You know what I mean? And so there's something to talk about when it comes to that alone. It just wasn't for me. It's very derivative of so many stories. The big takeaway I took, which is also something else I've taken away from multiple other books, is that I have a book very similar to this. How Elizabeth Snow. There is kind of superpowers in it, weirdly enough. Not like full-blown superpowers, but there's a sci-fi, a futuristic element that could be counted as it. And this is very much, and it's, I don't know. And I never thought it was marketable. And I'm starting to think that maybe it's almost so marketable. And that was my takeaway, which is not a good takeaway. It's not my favorite takeaway for something like this. That being said, I did finish it. I gave it a 2.5. So I really read a piece of it together. I'll try better next time. I'm trying my hardest, but it's done. And I'm not mad about that. The next one, I think we're gonna pick up is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Hello, I want to come here and update this 5-book vlog. We have officially started Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I don't think it's going to be for me. I'm going to be honest with you. 14% in, I'm not blown away. I don't think the world's that cool. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, I want to visit here, I want to be here with these characters. And I don't really dig the vibe of the characters either. I don't mind. I mean, see, here's the problem. I do mind lying. I mind when two people are supposed to be together who are lying about something so simple. That part's a little annoying to me. So as far as a woman, she is a writer and she wants to work for journalism. The whole world is in this war with gods, and her brother went off to this war, and she has a workplace rivalry with this other guy, and she's writing these letters, and she believed her mom had always told her that her house was magical because they do live in a magical world, and so she writes these letters and she puts them at the store, and then one day she gets a letter back saying, I'm not your brother, who she thought she was sending these letters to, who never, and they start having these conversations back and forth with one another for these letters. And I was just, I don't know, I'm hoping for more, but I don't think it's going to be a win. That's okay. That's what we're currently reading. Just want to come here and update you. I'm 14% into it. At some point, probably towards the end, just like I did with quicksilver, I'll come in and I'll read the ending with you guys. It's just a little bit easier at the moment than starting it together. So we'll see though. Let's read the ending. Divine Rivals. I'm on chapter 41. I don't know how many chapters there are. On page 330. And I feel a plot twist coming. One that is going to annoy me. I have a feeling. And we'll talk all about it. Kind of. There's no spoilers. Knew it. This is just not for me, guys. I'm so sorry. I want to like it. I do. Also, this new character, I'm really annoyed. I'm sure there's like a good reason or some bullshit, but I'm just like really annoyed. But why? Oh. Hello. Let me come in here. Hold on. Let me pop in here and let's close out Divine Rivals, the 4th of the books of this video. Divine Rivals follows main character, as we talked about before, Iris. So I don't really know if we've ever talked about like what the plot of this is. So essentially it follows two journalists, their rivals at work, and then there's this war going on, very much set like in World War I, just with fantasy elements kind of thrown in there. And Iris and Roman. And so Iris ends up going out and her mom ends up tragically passing and she doesn't get the job she wants, and so she leaves. She decides that she is going to go and become a war correspondent and find her brother. In this process of time, she's been writing these magical letters to this man who she believed was her brother, then turned out wasn't her brother, who gets the name of Carver. We know really early on that Carver is Roman because it's said in his chapters in the very beginning of the book, and so it's not a spoiler. And she ends up going off to this war, and it's about her journey. I didn't care for it. The writing's fine. A lot of people find it really pretty. I found it kind of lackluster in a lot of areas, but I definitely don't think it's like the worst thing written. I don't think it's the worst book either. I liked it better than I liked Powerless. However, Powerless was way more entertaining. Like, if we're talking fun factor, this was like a 3, maybe a 2 for me out of 10, whereas Powerless was like a 6. So, like, definitely on those scales, it's very different. Overall, the book itself, I would even say is a smidge better, so I'm probably going to land on a 3 for it. I don't love it, though. I would maybe read a sequel, because it did sound like it was going to go more fantasy. This is, like, pure historical fiction with the lightest fantasy known to man. Knowing that people, based on some reviews and stuff that I was reading, because I was like, am I the only one? I know a lot of my peers have also like been mixed on it and stuff, but knowing like based on like some people were saying that people were like saying this is like Fourth Wing, I would never recommend this saying it's like Fourth Wing. I wouldn't even say if you like Fourth Wing, read this, because I think they're so vastly different. Fourth Wing in itself is a romantasy, but it's also like more high fantasy, the politics, and then also like just dragons and shit, like, right? This has none of that. This has a few flying creatures and a few magical elements going on. Majority of it is very grounded, very realistic, and the romance itself is very frustrating to me because they're together a lot of the book. However, the author made the obvious choice, which makes the most sense, to not really introduce the romantic elements until much later on in the book. And then that felt like it went by like so quickly. Like it felt like we just ran through everything. We ran through the first kiss, we ran through all the romantic moments between these two leads. And then by the end, you were frustrated that the author came up with another reason for them to be separated. And yeah, like I said, the epilogue does make that reasoning kind of good. Not enough for me to want to pick up Ruthless Vows, especially because I just saw someone possibly reading Ruthless Vows and saying they were experiencing the same feelings that they were doing for Divine Rivals. I also didn't love the side characters. Like, they weren't amazing side characters. I liked a lot of the representation and stuff going on here, but like, I just wasn't blown away by any of that. And so with that being said as well, I was ultimately, I'm just gonna say I'm disappointed, and I wish it was better. I wish it was better for landing on a 3. The next book we have to read, you guys can't see, it's sitting over here, and that is Swordcatcher. Hello, let's start the final book. I don't physically have it because it's in my bag in the car, but it's Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I read the first 170-ish pages today. I couldn't really tell you what it's about. I can tell you what the title is about. So it follows Cal as he is essentially what a swordcatcher is someone who is a lookalike for the king or the prince or something along those lines. And they get brought in to protect them. So during danger situations, they'll go out instead of the actual person. And so that's like one of the main storylines. We also have this other character, I can't remember her name, the female main character. She is working in medicine. She also seems to be of royalty. Cal himself is not of royalty. And we have the Rat Picker King, who is trying to persuade Cal into coming against this kingdom. And he's starting to realize, pick up certain things or whatever, that the kingdom might be bad. And that's where I'm at with all of that. So I'll update you when I'm a bit further along how I feel about it. It is Cassandra Clare, so I'm like 170 pages in. I'm expecting not to fully gel or fully understand what's going on until about the 300 page mark. I'm really excited for the sequel. That's where I'm at. I know it seems really crazy because you're like, oh, it's a sequel, you know, it should hit off right at the first one. That's just not how Cassandra Clare book works, and I know this. I've been known this, so it's not a big deal to me whatsoever. That being said, I'll update you soon. Also really excited. We're really close to the end of this vlog, which is exciting. Hello, you guys deserve an update on Swordcatcher before I get ready to leave, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I did get to 49% in it last night. 47% into it. So we're doing a bit of a jump. I guess this will be for the 5-book vlog first. Essentially, I do have a very good idea what the plot's about. It's about these two people. We have our main character, Kel. He is a sword catcher, which means essentially there's an amulet that he wears that protects, that like disguises him as the prince. And if the prince has an assassination attempt, it's on Kel, not him. Anytime they believe that the prince could be in danger, they switch them out. Now we have Lynn, who is someone who can, I can't remember what they're called in this world, but they can practice magic. They're very, like, looked down upon. They're not really loved or anything like that, but they can practice magic. And so we have Lynn, who gets brought in after an assassination attempt on the prince's life, who ends up being Cal, and she ends up saving Cal in there. They end up working for this person called the Rag Picker King. Well, Cal hasn't like fully accepted anything, but the prince is under a lot of debt apparently, and so there's like a chance that they could be working together. And she has already almost accepted the position because of the things that he's offering her as well, and so that's how they're gonna bind together. I don't know who the romance is though for it, so that's interesting and kind of fun. It doesn't feel like a love triangle, however, they're all gay. They're all queer. So, but I don't know about Lynn herself. I don't know if she is attracted to women, but both Kel and Connor, who is the actual prince, do like have a sexual attraction to one another and other men and other women, which is very refreshing. That's where I'm at for all these, or for this book. I'll update you when we get a little deeper. I'll come in, we'll do the final read through as well together like we normally do. That might be the next time I update you and close out this vlog, because like this is the final book, so fingers crossed. Alright, welcome to this 5-book vlog. We are going to go ahead and finish off this video with Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher. We are in chapter 25, which is the final chapter of the book, and I'm going to find the placement and stuff. We're going to read the last 15 or so, or last like 20 or 30 pages together. That's the time. So let me get situated, and we'll get situated, and we'll get to reading. we have finished Swordcatcher. I landed on a 4.5 out of 5 in this video. Did we have a single 5? I don't remember. Jacob, editing Jacob. If we did, put the book on the screen. Thank you. Overall, I would say Divine Rivals and Powerless were a fail. I also feel like the Avery Mendez one was cute, but it wasn't great. Quicksilver was phenomenal. However, I don't think Quicksilver was a 5. I think it was like a 4 or something, right? So I'd say Quicksilver, and those are the two that I would highly recommend. I would probably recommend the Avery Mendez as well, but I would very much say you can skip both Divine Rivals and Powerless as books. Swordcatcher ended up being a fun ride by the end. It's very slow paced, so do know that going into it. If you're a political fantasy girly, I do think this book could be for you. I think there's a lot of things to love about it. In that case, I am not a political fantasy girly. I'm an action adventure, more quest based with a little bit of politics, and I'm okay with politics becoming more and more deeper as the story goes on. But in this first book, I really need to be pulled in, and the characters pulled me in quite a bit because that's the beautifulness of Christian Core's writing. However, the politics was a bit much for my liking, which is why it was a 4.5. But we'll see. Maybe I'll love it more even with the Rat Picker King. There's also some interesting things that I brought up by the end of this book in the last like 20 or 30 pages that make me excited to read the sequel as well. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you all the next time in another one, and goodbye.